A wise man once said, if you want to piss your money down a sewer, open up a restaurant. Some people will tell you that restaurants fail 90% of the time within their first year. Well, that's not necessarily correct. I'm Pete Torriello.
And I'm Maureen Torriello.
And this is the Sonic Boomers channel. So we did a little bit of research into that statement that 90% of restaurants will fail in the first year, and it just isn't true. What is true is this. According to the United States Department of Labor Statistics, 37% of new restaurants will indeed fail in the first year. But you would be encouraged by those odds. So we're looking at maybe a third of the restaurants are going to fail.
In the first year.
In the first year. Now, if we stretch the timeline on that out a little bit, in the first 5 years, the chance of you closing is 50-50, pretty much. Give or take 1 or 2%. Those are the real numbers. But we wanted to ask you, our loyal viewers and listeners, what is it that you look for in a restaurant? Because if you do the research, if you do the so-called empirical research, they're going to tell you location, selection of menu, matching the menu to the market conditions. They'll give you all these technical reasons, and they'll gladly sell you courses at great expense on what to do with your restaurant and how to do it and what not to do. But we figured we would go to the real experts, and that's you, the people who go into restaurants. What does it take, and I'm going to use an overused, hackneyed, cinematic term, what does it take to get you to say to a restaurant, you had me at hello? And yes,
how romantic.
I hate myself. But what does it take? What do you want in a restaurant? We asked, and you told us. We heard from our loyal viewers and listeners, Israel, Paul, Michelle, Linda, Jennifer, Irish, and Cindy. Mm-hmm. It was an avalanche of viewers. So what came out is, are these in any particular order, by the way? Okay,
no.
In no particular order. What have you got?
A lot of it had to do with the food, which is kind of understandable. Good food made on site, not institutional food, was one of the main things that almost everybody said in one form or another. Right. That they did not want like some pre-made food that is just being brought in and heated up in the microwave in the kitchen.
Right.
And along with that, consistent food quality. You don't want to go in one week and say, oh, that was the best steak I ever had, and the next time you go and it's all fatty or it's
And we've had that
tough.
happen.
Along with that, when you are going into a restaurant, you want to be sure that if you place your order and you maybe have some special requests, sometimes it's dietary needs, sometimes it's medical, you're allergic to something, you have a specific request. You need the server or the restaurant to get the order right. That's extremely important.
And it's even worse when you have a bunch of people at your table and the order is totally screwed up, where some people got what they wanted and other people were like, I don't eat this, I didn't order this, what's going on here?
Exactly. And some of it could even be dangerous. I mean, if you're allergic to peanuts and you ask them, does this have peanut oil in it? And they say, oh no, it's fine.
Yeah.
And then you get it and you blow up or something, or you're next thing you know, you're off to the hospital, an emergency room for a anaphylactic shock or something from your allergy. It's pretty serious.
And also one of the criteria was the restaurant offers the food that I like. It could be impeccably prepared, but if it's not what I like to eat, I'm just kind of settling for something on your menu, forget it.
We found that when we were on our last cruise, when we went to, we had a cabin that entitled us to a specialty restaurant called Blue
Right.
on Celebrity. Well, we would look at the menu many nights and say, ew, there's really nothing much here that I want to eat.
Yeah.
And yet you would go and you'd get these beautifully prepared dishes and, you know, all very artistically arranged on your plate, and it's gourmet and everything. But it wasn't what we wanted to eat really most of the time.
Do you remember when I ordered the quail?
Yes, I do.
I thought I would be adventurous. Maureen and I are bird lovers. We have bird feeders. We love watching the birds. I don't know why I even did this other than to maybe come out of my shell a little bit. And I ordered the quail, and this little bird comes out on a plate. Like, and I was like, I was so remember, I was so upset.
It was, first of all, it was kind of gross.
It was like somebody grabbed a dead bird out of the backyard,
Yeah.
and prettied up the plate and just kind of plopped the poor guy on there.
And it was so sad.
Yeah.
The two of us are looking at it, and finally Pete put his napkin over and says, "That's it." Like,
Said a little prayer over it and set it back.
so I mean, somebody else would say, "Oh, quail, that's a delicacy."
Yeah.
But not.
I can't do it.
No.
And on that cruise, that was like a 7-night cruise. Mm-hmm. And I would say 3 of those nights, we went into Blue and we wound up walking away, going back to the main dining room because we were like, gee, there's just nothing on here that we want.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, or eating somewhere else. So, all that being said, people seem to prefer to give their business to a family-owned restaurant
Yeah.
if they're going to go out, rather than a chain. Supporting small businesses and knowing the difficulty in running a restaurant, a successful restaurant. If you find a local restaurant, a mom and pop place that does what you like, most people will want to support that. Of course, reasonable prices. You know, it could have the best food in the world. It could match your palate. If you go in there and you have to empty your wallet, you're not
It
going to
has
go back
to
there
match
too
your
much.
palate, and it's got to match your wallet at the
Ooh,
same
man,
time.
that's
See
a good
that?
one.
Isn't that
I
good?
like that.
It's because I'm the idea man, Maureen.
So, I mean, reasonable prices are, you know, it's a reality. You know, you got to go someplace that you can afford.
Good service. When you place your order, you have a reasonable expectation of how long it should take that order to come out. We were in a restaurant one night with friends,
Yes.
and we were there like 2 hours before our order came out.
Before they even brought out the salad.
Yeah.
I mean, the main entree was even longer than that. It was ridiculous.
And we were like, never again. And
If it was just Pete and I, we probably would have walked out. But we
Yeah.
were with a group of
With a
friends,
group.
so we kind of
so
stayed.
you don't want to be that person.
Yeah.
But we have not gone back there.
No, we have not.
And they really did not do anything to try and make it better.
Right. Because, I mean, we kept saying to them, you know, is it coming out soon? Oh, yeah, it'll be there. They're working on it. We're a little run down. We're a little short on help tonight.
Yeah.
They had a million and one excuses, but they didn't offer anything to make it nicer. They didn't say, well, here, have a free drink while you're waiting, or we'll take something off the bill.
We went
or-
into one restaurant. Remember, they had no forks or something.
Yeah, I think it was the same restaurant.
And they said, "Oh, we have a fork emergency." And I was like, "Here's $10. Send somebody down to the ShopRite and buy some friggin' cutlery, okay? Just like get me a fork." I've never seen a fork emergency.
Right.
And I remember I sent a note to the general manager of the restaurant, and I explained to him what happened. And I said, the only difference between your restaurant last night and the Titanic was the Titanic had a band.
And that can make the difference. It's not only just them bringing it to you timely fashion, because sometimes that's beyond the server's control. If something's going wrong in the kitchen, you can't always, don't blame your server necessarily, you know. But a good server comes out and talks you up a little bit, gives you some banter, breezy banter.
gives
so
you
to say.
a free glass of wine on the house or something to make it better.
And to, you know, and we'll touch back with you when you do get your food. How do you like it? Is everything the way you want it? Is there anything else you need? Comes back and checks. How's it going? You want to see the dessert menu? They don't just serve you and forget you. So that's all part of good service.
And this is very important, especially for those of you, and there are probably many people in our demographic who have some mobility challenge, whether you use a cane or a walker or a mobile scooter. You really need ample parking that is convenient to the physical location of the restaurant. You don't want to have to park 3 blocks away to get into the restaurant.
Sometimes some people will book like a restaurant for an event, and you would love to go to that event.
Yeah.
But when you size up where the parking is, you can't do it. You just can't do it.
Or you have to keep circling around and circling around looking for a parking spot.
Mm-hmm. That'll turn you right, turn us right off anyway.
Yeah.
Comfortable seating in the
Absolutely.
restaurant. You're going to be there probably an hour and a half, 2 hours at the minimum, maybe a little
4
bit,
or 5 hours
maybe
some
more.
nights.
And you want to be comfortable, and the more comfortable they can make you, probably the more you're going to spend at the restaurant, and you're going to stay longer and order the extra drinks or the extra coffee.
Or the dessert or whatever.
It behooves the restaurant really to put some money into their seating.
Handicap friendly. Again, very, very important.
It certainly is. Not just for us, but for anybody. Even if you have a wheelchair or a kid with special needs or whatever.
Can the wheelchair get under the table? If you're a large person, do the chairs have arms on them that are going to make it painful or difficult for you to get in and out of that chair?
Right, or be sticking you in the side the whole night, where it's very uncomfortable. Also, handicap friendly can go in as far as like the restrooms. Should the toilets be at a decent height? Should you have enough room to wheel your wheelchair in if you need? How about grab bars? Things like that are all part of the experience that will make you decide to go or not go to the restaurant again.
We were in a restaurant with some friends a while back, and you went to the restroom, and that was problematic for you because it was very difficult to navigate. They did not have accommodations.
Right. The toilet was like really low.
Yeah.
So it was like doing a deep knee bend to sit on it, and then, God forbid, to try and get up off of it.
And the food was good, the service was good, but
Price is reasonable, all the good things.
had a lot of things that you check off, but that one incident made it almost prohibitive for us to want to go back to that restaurant again.
Yeah.
And
Unfortunately.
that's too bad because it's a family-owned and operated restaurant.
I know, but you got to do what you got to do.
Now, I guess what ties into that too is you have to have a good spacing of tables where you're not sitting on top of one another, hearing the conversation of the people next to you.
Well, wait a minute, that I don't mind.
it could be more interesting. You need room to even navigate. Again, if you have a wheelchair or some type of mobility device and the tables are too close together, you've got a problem.
I don't want to always be harping on that because, a lot of people will look at it and say, well, that's all fine, but why should we make accommodations just for you? People that are like I hate to use the word normal, but are in like a regular circumstance where they do not have these problems, even there, spacing of tables is important. If you are sitting and your chair is hitting the chair of the person behind you,
Right.
and you make a little move, you're going to be annoying the hell out of that person.
Right.
Or they're vice versa. If they're moving around, they could be annoying you.
And you can only turn around and do the polite thing so many times and say, excuse me, I'm sorry, excuse me.
Yeah.
It's after a while, that's going to wear out its welcome.
It sure is. And I get it. The more butts in the seats that they can get at a given time makes the restaurant more money. But if those seats are uncomfortable or poorly laid out, it's it's going to lose the money.
Now, this next one will turn me off instantly, and I would say almost irrevocably, and that is a filthy restroom. Our viewer said clean restrooms, clean overall, no vermin, no roaches, no stains on the toilet seats, no surprises left in the bowl, no
Crumpled up paper on the floor.
no yellow stuff, no hygiene products on the floor. That has got to be the most disgusting thing in the world. There was a diner in our neighborhood here, and I won't mention the name of it because it was sold, and the people who took it over just revolutionized the place.
Mm-hmm.
They just gutted it and they made it beautiful. But under the old owner, I went in there for breakfast one morning and I went into the bathroom and I almost hurled. It was absolutely disgusting. Pleasant decor came up in our survey. And here's what I mean by pleasant decor. Yes, the place has to look nice. It has to be clean. It has to be spacious. But it should also appear to be well maintained. And if I'm a customer and I'm sitting in a restaurant or I'm having breakfast at the counter and I look up at your ceiling and I see water stains all over the place, and in this aforementioned restaurant with the awful bathroom, that was another problem. No matter where you looked on that ceiling, you had water stains. Also, not matching your lighting. A lot of people that run restaurants, run diners, do not realize that there are different temperatures of lighting. For example, in our home, the lighting is on the cool side. And so if you're in our house, you'll notice there's kind of a bluish cast to the lighting. We inherited that. We didn't choose it. I've been in restaurants where they did a mix, not intentionally, of what are called warm lights, which gravitate more toward the, say, the amber side, the more red side. They make you look healthy, you know?
Yeah.
Blue lighting or cool lighting makes everybody in the restaurant look like they have tuberculosis. And when you mix the bulbs, and you have lamps like pendant lamps, let's say, over the counter, and they're all hanging next to one another, and you have a cool and a warm, two cools, it's like, to me, what the hell is going on in here?
Yeah, and I
don't you
even
know how
think-
to buy light bulbs?
Well, I think what happens is they just buy light bulbs.
Yeah.
And they don't think about the color necessarily. And, one light burns out, so you
Get
put
another
a new bulb.
bulb.
And they do not buy the same ones, so as they burn out at different times, you may have different ones in the lighting fixtures. But that I can almost excuse. To me, that it doesn't look as nice, but I understand the
Oh, no,
pattern.
Maureen, if I go into your restaurant or your diner and the lighting does not match, I will talk about you.
I'm sure you will.
I will talk about you by name. Now, in the survey, one thing did not come up.
What's that?
And we say, and of course, we are the experts. We say this one thing is the most powerful. And this is something that is so powerful.
Get ready now.
If everything on the checklist didn't work out correctly, this element can help get that restaurant over the hump. And that is the quality of your server. You need people who are stars. You need people in a restaurant, in a diner even, who are not just, can I take your order? Here's the special. But you need people who make you want to come back to that place of business again, and again, because they treat you well, they're fun to be with, they chat you up. We have one server in particular who has got to be a friend of ours over about 10 years. And we'll give the restaurant a plug. We get no money for this, but they're nice people. And that's Echo Tap and Grill, which is on Route 22 eastbound in Mountainside, New Jersey. And we were going there for about 10 years. We don't go there that much anymore for two reasons. One is somebody left their employ because they moved to another part of the country. And the other is we moved away and it became a 45-minute drive
Right.
to get up there instead of what used to be about a 15-minute drive. But in this restaurant, they had a server, and he also did some managing there, named Israel Jimenez. Israel Pipo Jimenez. And Israel, we loved you at hello. I hate myself once again for using that phrase. But we did, because he was personable, he was fun, and he kind of got to be part of our family.
He did, because if we would go and it was a little slow, he'd come over and he'd take time and talk to you and ask you about your family and tell you what he was up to and what he did over the weekend or whatever, what kind of plans you got coming up.
He'd have an amusing story
Right.
to tell you. Even when I was going through my cancer treatment, we had gone into the restaurant and I was having a down day. I was having a day where I really, I guess, had a case of the poor me's. And Israel got down at eye level with me and really gave me a pep talk that I really needed. And it really got me over the hump that day. And I can't tell you that makes you a forever customer.
It does.
That somebody on staff got to know you and really gave a damn about your welfare. And he did. He just wasn't chatting me up.
Right.
And another beautiful thing that Israel would do is they knew that we would be there every Friday, almost like clockwork, 2 p.m. And I would just send Israel a text and say, hey, we're coming today. And when we walked into the restaurant, our table was already set up. The sangria was already there because we always get a pitcher of sangria. And it was so wonderful to come in and have that experience.
Right.
It really elevates the experience of dining. Somebody like this is going to be a dynamo who is going to attract people to your establishment.
And we've had that experience with other diners too.
Yes.
Where a particular waitress is very attentive, always gets the order right, makes sure that you're well taken care of and that you're happy, and we would go back to that diner many, many, many times because of that one server, and we would specifically ask if we could be on that server's table. And when I think as a restaurant owner, if you see that, you should reward that to your staff.
Yes.
And you should hold them up as an example to the ones that are not performing in that way and say, this is what I expect. This is what I want our customers to experience coming into our restaurant. I want you to do what you can to give them that kind of an experience. And then your restaurant is going to succeed.
And this is why we saved the best for last. If you can't check off everything on that list, somebody who is really dynamic is going to help you get over that little bit of a hump.
Exactly.
So Israel, thank you for your wonderful service, your friendship. We miss you. And that's going to do it for this edition of the Sonic Boomers podcast. I'm going to take a moment here to ask you once again to like and subscribe so that we can get our first 100. Again, I hate myself. Our first 100 subscribers. This is pathetic. So please give us a like, give us a subscribe. The like is almost more important than the subscribe because when you click like, it tells us that you like what we're doing, and it also tells YouTube to show our podcast to more people. So thank you for watching. Thank you for listening to the Sonic Boomers podcast.